Very poor maintenance. In the heart of Philadelphia, a city that pulsed with life both day and night, there existed a gas station that had long fallen into a state of disrepair. Nestled among the bustling streets and the constant hum of traffic, the Getty gas station stood as a forgotten relic of a bygone era. It was a warm summer evening when John, a weary traveler with a rental car in tow, found himself in need of refueling. His GPS had guided him to the nearest gas station, and as he followed the directions, he couldn't help but notice the foreboding sight that awaited him. The Getty gas station appeared on the horizon, its once vibrant signage faded and peeling, a stark contrast to the vivid lights of the city that surrounded it. John's initial impression was one of disbelief as he approached the station. Every single pump stood in a state of disrepair, vandalized and broken. Their panels and signs missing were shattered. The parking lot, once a place of convenience and commerce, was now littered with shards of broken glass, glistening ominously in the dim light. The atmosphere hung heavy with an eerie stillness, broken only by the distant sounds of the city's nightlife. As John's rental car came to a halt before the gas station, he couldn't help but feel a sense of unease wash over him. The doors of the convenience store, which should have been a place of respite and refreshment, were shuttered tight, their windows cloaked in darkness. Only one lone door remained ajar, a feeble open light flickering above it. John exchanged a glance with his traveling companion, a sense of foreboding settling over them both. Something about the desolation of the gas station, its dilapidated state, and the oppressive silence that enveloped it sent shivers down their spines. Despite their initial intention to refuel, John made a quick decision. The risk of stopping at this forsaken place far outweighed the need for gas. With a sense of urgency, he maneuvered the rental car past the gas pumps, never once allowing it to come to a halt. The eerie scene disappeared in the rearview mirror as they continued on their way, leaving the Getty gas station behind them. As John and his companion made their way to a different gas station, they couldn't help but reflect on the inexplicable aura of dread that had surrounded the forsaken Getty station. It was as though the very essence of the place had been tainted by the passage of time and neglect, casting a pall of unease over anyone who dared to venture near. The city of Philadelphia continued to buzz with life and activity, its streets teeming with people going about their nightly routines. But in the shadow of the Getty gas station, an unsettling silence reigned, a testament to the power of neglect and the haunting presence of a place long forgotten. In the days that followed, John and his companion never spoke of their encounter with the abandoned gas station. It remained a chilling memory, a reminder that even in the heart of a bustling city, there were places where the forces of neglect and decay held sway, casting a pall over the ordinary and the mundane. And as John returned his rental car and continued on his journey, he couldn't help but wonder about the secrets that lay hidden within the forgotten corners of the city, the places where time had left its mark, and where the echoes of the past still whispered their tales of abandonment and decay. For the Getty gas station, it was a place lost to time, a relic of a bygone era that had faded into obscurity. And for John, it was a chilling reminder that even in the midst of life's vibrancy, there were places where the darkness of neglect could cast a long and haunting shadow. When you are the creepy, in a city somewhere in the United States, on an ordinary night filled with the buzz of city life, a group of friends found themselves on a late-night snack run. The corner store and gas station beckoned with its neon signs and promise of indulgent treats. Little did they know that this seemingly routine outing would take an unexpected turn, and the true source of unease would be one of their own. Among the group of friends sat Mark, who found himself in the back right seat of the car. The night air was cool against his skin as he waited for the car to come to a stop in front of the convenience store. It was his turn to run in and grab the snacks while his friends waited in the car. The car pulled up to the front of the store, and Mark stepped out, eager to satisfy their snack cravings. The friends exchanged casual goodbyes and reassurances that they would wait for him to return. With a quick nod, Mark entered the convenience store, the enticing aroma of snacks and the hum of fluorescent lights filling his senses. Time seemed to slip away as Mark perused the store's offerings, carefully selecting the snacks that his friends had requested. With his arms laden with goodies, he made his way to the checkout counter and completed the transaction. He couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation as he thought about sharing the snacks with his friends during their drive home. Exiting the store, Mark returned to the dimly lit parking lot, the fluorescent lights casting an eerie glow over the scene. But as he approached the car, a feeling of unease settled over him. Something was amiss. Mark pulled open the car door and climbed into the back seat, ready to share the spoils of his snack run. However, as he settled into his seat, he couldn't see his friends in the front of the car. It was as though they had vanished into thin air. Confusion gripped Mark as he looked around the car. Had they decided to play a prank on him? He was about to voice his suspicions when he glanced to his left and froze. Sitting right beside him in the back seat was a little kid, no older than 10, staring at him with wide, curious eyes. It was a moment frozen in time, a tableau of unease and disbelief. Mark was the stranger in the car, and the child was the unexpected passenger. A chill ran down Mark's spine as he tried to make sense of the situation. He had entered what appeared to be the exact same car model and color that had dropped him off at the convenience store just a minute earlier, but it was not his friend's vehicle. Panic threatened to consume him as he imagined the potential consequences of this bizarre mix-up. In that surreal moment, Mark's thoughts raced. Would the child's parents return to find a stranger in their car? How would he explain his presence to them? He imagined an angry father ready to explode with accusations and threats. With his heart pounding, Mark knew he had to act swiftly. He carefully extracted himself from the car, his eyes never leaving the bewildered child. As he stepped out onto the pavement, he spotted his friend's car parked just ahead in a parking spot, their familiar faces looking out at him. Mark rushed over to them, his breath coming in short, anxious gasps. He recounted the surreal experience he had just endured, the disbelief in his friend's eyes matching his own. They listened intently, their expressions a mix of concern and amazement. The friends exchanged theories about how such a bizarre mix-up could have occurred, but no satisfactory explanation emerged. They could only marvel at the sheer improbability of the situation. As they drove away from the convenience store, Mark couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered. The child's bewildered gaze haunted his thoughts, a reminder that sometimes, in the strangest of circumstances, you can become the source of someone else's unease, the unexpected visitor in their world. The night continued, the city's lights and sounds a backdrop to their shared experience. Mark and his friends had ventured into the surreal that night, and they would forever remember the unsettling encounter that had left them questioning the boundaries of reality and the mysteries of the human experience. In the end, Mark and his friends could only speculate about the child and the car mix-up, a story that would become one of their own eerie legends, a reminder that sometimes, when you least expect it, you can find yourself in a situation where you are the creepy one, and the world around you becomes a place of unexpected mysteries and uncharted territories of the mind. Nowhere to go. In the heart of San Antonio, a bustling city teeming with life and culture, a seemingly routine visit to a local garage would soon take an inexplicable and chilling turn for one man. As the sweltering Texan sun beat down on the city streets, John found himself waiting for a complete tire change at the dimly lit garage. Little did he know that the unassuming stranger beside him would unravel a tale so grotesque and macabre that it would haunt his memories for years to come. John was a man of routine, and that fateful day was no different. As he sat in the garage's waiting area, he couldn't help but notice the stranger seated beside him. The man, a rugged figure with weathered skin and a piercing gaze, seemed to take a peculiar interest in John's presence. His eyes fixated on the pipe that John had clutched in his hand, a vice that had since become a habit of the past. It was this shared interest in tobacco that led to an unsettling exchange between the two men. The stranger reached into the depths of a tobacco pouch, an action that initially appeared innocent enough. But as he unzipped the pouch and held it out for John to see, an inexplicable feeling of dread crept over John. "Check what I keep in there," the stranger whispered, his voice laced with an eerie calmness. With a sense of trepidation, John leaned in closer and peered into the open pouch. What he found there would forever haunt his nightmares: a severed human finger, its pallid skin and gnarled nail grotesquely juxtaposed against the backdrop of the tobacco pouch. Shock and horror washed over John as he recoiled from the sight. He couldn't comprehend the gruesome tableau that lay before him. Questions raced through his mind, but his voice failed him. How had this man come into possession of such a gruesome souvenir? And why had he chosen to share it with a complete stranger in a dimly lit garage? The stranger, however, showed no signs of remorse or unease. Instead, he leaned in closer, a faint grin playing at the corners of his lips. "I was an interrogator for the army," he explained, his voice devoid of emotion, as if recounting a mundane story. "I took it as a souvenir in South America." John's heart pounded in his chest as he sat beside this enigmatic and unsettling figure. He was now trapped in a surreal and nightmarish scenario, with nowhere to go. Every minute that passed felt like an eternity as he struggled to maintain a facade of normalcy. The garage's ambient noises, the clatter of tools, the muffled voices of mechanics at work, served as a haunting backdrop to the chilling exchange between the two men. John couldn't tear his gaze away from the severed finger, a silent witness to the horrors of war and the darkness that could reside within the human soul. As the minutes stretched on, John couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom that hung in the air. The stranger's presence, his calm demeanor, and the grotesque souvenir he had shared all combined to create an atmosphere of profound unease. John couldn't escape the realization that he was sitting beside a psychopath, a man who had crossed boundaries of morality that few could comprehend. And so, he continued to sit beside the stranger, pretending that everything was normal, concealing his mounting fear and anxiety. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city of San Antonio, John couldn't help but wonder about the depths of darkness that could exist in the world. The tire change was completed, and John finally had an opportunity to escape the oppressive atmosphere that had enveloped him. With a curt nod and a quick goodbye, he left the garage, leaving the stranger behind, his chilling story and the severed finger forever etched into John's memory. As he drove away from the garage, John couldn't shake the feeling that he had narrowly escaped a fate too gruesome to contemplate. The city lights of San Antonio flickered in the distance, a stark contrast to the darkness that had enveloped him in that dimly lit garage. The encounter with the enigmatic stranger would forever haunt John's memories, a stark reminder that in the most unexpected of places and moments, one could find themselves in the company of darkness, with nowhere to go and no escape from the chilling depths of the human psyche. The Getaway Car. It was the dead of winter, and 5 friends from Ontario, Canada, were embarking on a road trip of a lifetime to sunny Florida for a New Year's celebration they would never forget. The drive was long and grueling, stretching for over 21 hours straight, as they ventured deep into the heart of the United States. It was an adventure filled with laughter, music, and the anticipation of a memorable holiday. However, as the hours passed and the miles melted away, the road seemed to stretch into eternity, and exhaustion began to take its toll on the travelers. They found themselves in rural West Virginia, surrounded by dense forests and winding roads that seemed to go on forever. It was around 2:30 in the morning when their luck took a treacherous turn. Their SUV, laden with luggage and dreams of fun in the sun, sputtered to a halt on the side of a desolate road. Panic washed over the group as they realized they had run out of gas in the middle of nowhere. With nothing but darkness surrounding them, they coasted to a stop at a grim and shadowy gas station that appeared to have been plucked straight from a horror movie. Not a soul was in sight as they pulled up to the gas pumps. The gas station stood in eerie silence, its flickering lights casting unsettling shadows that danced in the frigid night air. The friends exchanged nervous glances, sensing that something was amiss. The man behind the counter, a weathered and stern figure, peered at them through the grimy window, his eyes filled with a sense of urgency. With a voice as cold as the winter wind, he barked at them, "Put $5 in the car and get the hell out of here." The warning in his words sent shivers down their spines, but the urgency of their situation left them with no choice but to comply. As they began filling the tank with the little money they had left, a sense of foreboding settled over them. They couldn't help but wonder why the gas station attendant was so eager to get rid of them, and why he seemed to be looking over his shoulder. Their questions were soon answered in the most terrifying way possible. From the depths of the surrounding darkness, 3 ominous figures emerged, their presence cloaked in shadows. Each one held a gun, their glinting metal barrels reflecting the dim light of the gas station. Panic seized the group as the armed men began to advance toward their vulnerable vehicle. The friends had no intention of finding out what these strangers wanted from them. Fear and survival instincts kicked in, and as soon as they had enough gas to escape, they left the gas station behind in a cloud of dust. Their hearts pounded in their chests as they sped down the desolate road, their headlights piercing the impenetrable darkness. 15 to 20 minutes later, they finally reached a small town, its streets bathed in the warm glow of well-lit gas station signs. The tension that had gripped them since the encounter at the desolate station began to ease as they pulled into the welcoming embrace of the brightly lit pumps. Here, they felt safe and relieved, the fear of the past hours slowly fading into the rearview mirror. With shaky hands, they completed filling the tank, determined to put as much distance between themselves and that nightmarish gas station as possible. As they continued their journey toward Florida, the events of that harrowing night would linger in their minds, a chilling reminder that the road could take them to unexpected and perilous places. The memory of the shadowy figures emerging from the darkness and the cryptic warning of the gas station attendant would stay with them throughout their journey, serving as a stark reminder that sometimes, on the open road, one's closest brush with danger might be lurking just around the next bend.